Hello and welcome again to Paris Set Me Free, Paris Photo Tutorials. I'm going to start off with the map today, and I'm going to see if you can guess where we're going. Well, it won't be difficult to guess where we're going because this is a place we often go, but I'm almost going to try and see if I can find the thing that I took today. I'll give you a few clues. One of the most famous sites in Paris. You see them all over the place. They're for very thirsty Parisians. They were contributed by a philanthrope, I think they're called, or a philanthropic gentleman who comes from the same place as me. See where we are there? Just over there, you've got this. Oh no, hang on. Just over there, you've got this, if that says anything to you. Just over here, and we're getting very close. The guy was called Wallace, by the way, who contributed a whole load of these to Paris. Just zooming in there. Very, very close now. Very warm. You see this place here? You see those things there? Those are, in fact, these. Very beautiful picture, or it could be. Maybe I'll talk about that some other time. And just trying to go around the corner a little bit, if it lets me. Let's have a look. Can you guess what we're looking at? Can you see it from there? I'm not sure. It's right there. Oh, I'm not sure if you can see it actually. I think it's hiding behind this lamppost. That's a bit of a shame. Let's see. Can't seem to get any closer, higher, lower. Yeah, I think there it is. Can you see what that is? It's a green thing. It's one of these. Hang on. See if I can get to it. There it is. Know what that is, guys? It's a Wallace fountain, of course. And let me tell you, these things are pretty often photographed by tourists in Paris, and they're pretty often awfully photographed. Why? Well, because they don't know how to photograph them. What they generally do with a normal camera, sometimes it's just a standard point and shoot camera, or even it's a very nice camera, but people don't really know how to I was going to say mettre en valeur these things, which is French, because having lived here for so long, I can't remember the English for it sometimes. Basically to highlight them, to make them look their best. And what you end up getting is a massive, messy Parisian cityscape, streetscape, people doing all sorts of things, green litter bins, all sorts of rubbish. And then down here about this big is a kind of dark, shady blob, which you can't see any detail or anything. So what I always say to people is, look, these fountains are so typically Parisian and they're so beautiful. Look at these, the figure here, and there's four of them, you know, there's one on each side. 4 or 3, yeah, I think 4 of them. 4 of these lovely ladies, one on each side, lovely, beautifully shaped arms. There's lovely detail here in the cloth, which is of course made of metal. And there's this wonderful sort of green, what's the word for it? I was going to say the word which means when things have got old and they've got that sort of tint or taint. I can't remember the word. Patin. Is that the English? But I don't think that's the case actually. It's quite simply nice green paint. I'm thinking that of this word because often things, when they do go a bit tarnished, they do go green. But this has been painted green, and it's an absolute symbol of Paris. You see them on all guidebooks and all the rest of it. Now, how can you make this better? Well, I've zoomed in. Let me tell you quickly. I've zoomed in. I've tried to make this the subject, not a whole load of other stuff. I've put her slightly off to the right because she's looking to the left. That's something that you can do. If you look at her face is about 1/3 of the way in on this side, which is nice to go 1/3, 2/3. Here's the main subject. Classic rule: 1/3 behind her, if it's a face looking in, 2/3 in front. Often works very well. I haven't put the head 1/3 down from the top or 1/3 up from the bottom. Why? Because I would chop off this hand, which would be a shame. I mean, if I put her head about here, 1/3 down, 1/3 in, unfortunately you'd have this hand, which is beautifully curved, and you'd chop this one about around about the wrist. Now, it's a classic portraiture and wedding portrait photographer's rule. Generally, limbs don't look very nice when they've been chopped off at, mid wrist or mid forearm level or ankle. Seems a bit brutal. So don't do it with statues either. Statues are simply representations, albeit non-living ones, of living people. So that's why I did it. But I still do follow this rule of a third in. Although if you look at the green as opposed to the red, this green almost goes to 1/3 from this side. And there's a kind of diagonal here splitting the red and the green, and if you follow the gap between the green and the red, you see it's quite a nice jagged angle. Da 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 da. You see there's lots of these angles. Look at these jutting angles. There's about 3 of them. Look, 1, 2, 3, and even a 4. So those make a nice contrast. Another thing to say is, well, obviously there's a whole load of stuff you can talk about here. One is that she's in focus and the background's nicely out of focus. Even if I do so myself, I focused on her and recomposed. I almost always use spot focusing. In other words, one little spot in the middle of your viewfinder, I put it on her nose, for example, press the shutter halfway down, recompose so that her nose isn't in the middle of the picture. Also, I've obviously used a wide aperture. I generally walk around with my camera on the widest aperture it can go for, like, I don't know, 5.6 or something. Aperture priority, let the shutter speed work itself out, and that generally means that whenever I see something interesting and focus on it, the background should be fuzzy, which as a general rule, I mean, you have to have some sort of standards, and my general rule is I want the thing that I'm looking at to be sharp and the background to be pleasantly out of focus, but not so out of focus that you can't see what it is. Well, can you see what it is? Well, let's just have a look back at this. Alright, there's the fountain. So as you can imagine, it's probably one of these awnings here. Nice red awning. Let's have a look at the final version. There she is. You've also got a lovely Parisian lamp. Can you see that in this one here? Hang on. Can you see it in the map is what I was going to say. No, you can't. But that adds a beautiful additional clue that you're somewhere nice, if I can put it that way. Why red and green together? There are a whole load of other things that I could have put in the background, believe you me, and most people do. So I tried hard not to. The background consists of basically the back of another of these girls' arms, which is fine, because that's still absolutely in harmony with this. It's the same thing, but it's in shadow. You see, it's dark, which is very nice, because you've got the echo of this arm here, this arm here. It's identical. Echoes are lovely in photographs, and yet this one doesn't get in the way of this girl, because this is black, it's a silhouette, whereas this is beautifully green. And look at why red and green together? Well, you tell me. We know what red and green look like together, don't we? Absolutely fantastic. Well, I'm running out of time now, so all I'm going to say is probably one more thing, and probably another thing which I'll remember right at the end, and that is, when I first looked at this, I thought it was a bit dirty. Look at the arms, it was a bit scruffy. And then I thought, hang on, no, it's not. These aren't sort of, I don't know, JPEG pixels or dirt or anything. It's actually beautiful reflections of this red and other warm lights. There's another echo of a light there in her lovely painted, but the paint is slightly irregular. You see that's why it's giving you not a straight line, but a kind of blub, 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 bits of dots coming down there, and it's very irregular. Look, even this line along here, what would normally be a very smooth muscular line, it's da, 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 and then there's another light getting in the way. So that reflection of the red in the green is absolutely beautiful. So that's it for today. Try your best to make the best of some of those classic Parisian, or any other city you're in has all got landmarks. Try and make the best of them, and remember the background, and your photos will be great. Thanks for visiting. See a good quality version of this on parissetmefree.blogspot.com, and see you soon in Paris. Bye bye.
Depuis que je suis à Paris, le jour et la nuit, je suis gris. J'ai compris la douceur de vivre. Je suis fou de joie, je suis ivre. Depuis que je suis à Paris.